I always kind of knew who I was. I knew I wanted to change the world. That's kind of my goal.
And she was cooking with Gordon fucking Ramsay.
Well, Gordon fucking Ramsay was cooking with her.
Oh, my bad. Get right. Leave your shoes at the door. Let's go.
Like, if you know, you know, right? I just want everybody to be their best version of themselves.
Welcome back to the Y2K Show. I'm your host, Saint Yim, joined by my co-hosts,
Chris Yee
and Benji Kill.
And we have two amazing guests today. Can you guys introduce yourselves, please?
Hi, I'm Sully Jessica Wu, Bento Box Queen.
And I'm Sam Hyun.
Yeah, we got the Queen of Bento Box herself and Bostonian of the Year.
What is Bostonian of the Year?
Actually,
I looked it up.
So one of you three actually did
Actually,
your
I did look it up. I looked at
one brain cell between the three of us.
He's
It
just
works.
sharing it. So each one of you talks, just jumps from one head to the
Yes.
other.
I legit asked ChatGPT, what is Bostonian of the Year?
You did?
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
What
What
did
did
you
it
come up
say?
Yeah, so it said
Said
for
Sam
the
Hyun.
Boston community, it's for people doing amazing things for the community, in short. So that means you did some pretty cool shit.
Nice.
So
Sweet.
looking forward to learning more about it.
Yeah.
We got along pretty well off camera, but for everyone else, can we talk about how you guys met in the first place? As far as like Benji being able to bring you guys here.
Sure. I mean, actually, about a year ago, I would say a year.
Yeah.
Me and Sam actually met at like a networking event, I believe, and like a party at Intercrew in downtown K-Town, where I had my birthday party.
Yeah.
We met and we approached it. I think he loves basketball and all that stuff, and we actually connected from that point. And then it was just weird. It was just like a easy click, like an easy friendship or relationship where it wasn't so like nothing was being asked with each other. We were just like DMing each other, hitting each other up, and I think we just developed a really good friendship through that time. And then you guys know in the last podcast I talked about traveling to New York at like an AAPI event ran by Taft. Like, it's because of this man right here. I would have never been in touch where I'm at now and what our growth in our own like separate business we have actually with the start of Sam. So, whenever he came in, I wanted to make sure we got him here and like talk about him because I think he's like such a fantastic person. Like, he really is. He's so interesting. I don't even know what the like Bostonian of the Year is just one out of like 20 things he's done. And then this lovely lady, we met at the AAPI event as well. We just got to know each other, and then I thought it was just really fun that after the event we all got drinks and just got to know each other and got to just know each other outside of like our personas that we have on social media, right? And then I didn't really know what you're up to, and then I saw oh shit, this girl can cook, and she's the shit, and she was cooking with Gordon fucking Ramsay.
Oh, shit.
What was that like, by the way?
Well, Gordon fucking Ramsay was cooking with her.
Oh,
my bad.
Get it
Put
right.
some respect on it.
My bad. Yeah, Gordon Ramsay was cooking with her. So, can we? Yeah. What are you saying?
What was that like?
What was it
for
like?
you meeting
It was
Mr.
fun.
Ramsay?
He was awesome. I wasn't like, I'm a huge fan, but I wasn't like,
Starstruck.
I wasn't really like, no, I was.
Oh,
because
shit.
Because I'm in Vegas, so I've worked with a bunch of celebrities. I was a cocktail server, so, I saw a bunch so I never got starstruck. But with Gordon, I was like, I couldn't stop like looking at him because
There's an aura.
because of his charisma, and the way he presents himself and the way he was just doing his thing. And I was like, wow, he's just really good at what he does. And just, it was just like, I was in awe for sure.
I feel like the charisma is from his accent.
No,
No?
it wasn't. It was just,
It's like he's in
he's
it's
in the
Gordon,
room.
right? He's in
and
his element.
Yeah, he's just
Interesting.
Like,
So
the man.
what got you like where you are now? So obviously you are known for all your amazing like recipes and all that stuff. Like, what got you into cooking, I guess, or what made you like pivot into like, oh, I'm gonna do food content now? Like, what's that story about?
So with food, I just love food. Ever since I was little, I ate everything, like live shrimp, like nothing was off the table with me growing up. So just growing up, I love food, and I wanted to always be in the food space. Like, even like people who go to restaurants trying food, obviously Anthony Bourdain is a huge inspiration for me. And so, but I was like, I'm not culinary trained. I don't have a background in food really. My parents had restaurants and stuff, but still. And so I was like, I can't do that. You know, people are just gonna not really listen to what I have to say. But my sister was like, your food's so good. It's so cute. You know, the way you do everything. Why don't you put it up there? You know, and so that was when I did. And then
when did you start putting out like social content, and like when did that moment happen with your sister? Like, you should put it out there. When did that
I've done
happen?
social for a long time. I went to college for journalism and media studies, so that was kind of in my wheelhouse already. I was a marketing director for a cannabis company in Nevada. My whole background was kind of marketing, PR, advertising, media sales. And so I was always in it. And then I do art, so I did a lot of art stuff. I was a makeup artist. I've done so many things, but
So she does everything basically.
so I did, you know, I put makeup tutorials, whatever. And then but then my sister, when TikTok came out, she was like, put your food videos. And then.
Oh, so you started basically when TikTok kind of came out, or when TikTok
That was
kinda
when
like-
I did food. So before, when I did art
so
and stuff, I had
maybe-
YouTube,
Okay.
Instagram, whatever.
Yeah,
The
Facebook.
OG.
Yeah, so you had like a really good like networking background from like working in Vegas and everything, and like your marketing background from school and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that translates into you, because to me, like, these guys call me, like, they think I'm a good networker, whatever. Like, I could go and shake hands with people, but like, to be completely fair, I don't think I really told you this. I'd rather tell it on camera. Like, I actually admire you because I view, like, when they say something kind about me, I think, like, no, I'm not at Sam's level. And I really say that, like, genuinely, where I'm like, I'm not at Sam's level, so, like, I can't view myself that way. And that's how much I really admire. So, like, is there something that, like, just please talk about yourself? Because, like I said, when people ask, like, hey, who's this guy you fucking talk about all the time? Because I always mention him. Yeah. And I'm like, I really don't know. Like, I just think he does everything. He's just a great.
He legit says this guy does everything.
He's just a he's just a good. But that's because, like, I admire you. You know what I mean? And like, I don't really like. They know me. Like, I don't really talk about.
I will say.
That's
You guys
definitely
wanna
not, yeah,
kiss
that's definitely
now,
not just
or
stuff.
what?
I mean, you know, later.
No, I will say.
Let me switch spots.
Yeah, everything Benji said, like, it has matched. Like, when the moment that I shook your hand and like you said what's up, and I said what's up, like, it didn't feel like I was meeting you for the first time. You have this very, very just calm, comfortable, like, energy where you're just, it's like very, I don't know if approachable is the right word or the best way to put it. I think there's a better way to word it, but it's just like the moment you started talking to us, it wasn't like we met for the first time. It was very familiar. So I think there's
that Gordon Ramsay charisma.
Yeah.
Oh, Gordon Ramsay.
She definitely is not going to say that. So
Yeah, she's like, nah,
she's like, I need to check him.
So yeah, like, what is your back? Like, what do you do? Like, and where are you at right now? Is anything specific you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I think, right now, 9 to 5, I'm the director of government relations, really, I think doing mostly a lot of external relations now for the AsianAmerican Foundation. So quickly to touch on that, launched 3 years ago because there was a report that came out that 0.2% of all philanthropic dollars went to the API community. But what people don't realize is that, we have the single largest racial wealth gap. We have significant numbers of our community that are living under the poverty line and are struggling. And so whether it's the model minority myth or perpetual foreigner narrative, like just all the different stereotypes, our community is really struggling. Now, there are those who are like killing it. They're crushing it, right? But so the TAF came about in lieu of the rise in anti-Asian hate to combat it, and raised $1.2 billion over 5 years, and launched with the purpose of trying to elevate our community. So when you look at our logo, it's built like a table to be convening everybody, but also to be a foundation to build upon. So I do government relations there. It's essentially turned into external relations, which is why I'm in LA right now, which we'll probably be able to talk about at a different date. I also co-founded a sneaker company called 1587 Sneakers, which I'm sure we'll dive into. Very, very 1% owner of a Japanese hand-roll restaurant in Boston. I always ask about that. Yeah, I saw that shit. But I say like 1% because like I think it's whack when like people, like you're at that degree of like tiny amount of equity and you walk in like you own the place and you're like, I'm just a little, I get my little chair and I walk in and all that stuff. So
yeah, I love sushi,
yeah,
so it's all good, man.
But also like recovering content creator. Like I think during pandemic, I really spoke out a lot about, like anti-Asian hate, social justice, delving a little bit into different topics. But, you know, at that point for me, it was like we were all at home, right? All we had was access to each other through our cell phones while Benji's is going off.
I actually thought it was her phone.
I turned
And then I'm like, her phone's still on. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's my phone.
You're like, turn up your
But for me, that was like the era of awareness, right? Like we're at a place where no one, you know, not only outside the community, but inside the community just really didn't know a lot about our community at all. Whether it's history, our struggles, our successes, and we weren't really collaborating with each other at that level. So that to me was like the era of awareness. We're now, the world has opened back up. And so I realized like I was best serving the people if I go back behind the scenes to build infrastructure for us to be able to build at scale and build at pace so that we don't have to go through that again, right? And so that next generation that's coming up has a firm foundation to build upon. And so, you know, that meant that I had to, you know, really kind of go offline, not be, and there's plenty of other people that are doing amazing content and pushing it, but I was like, I need to
What
go
do you mean
behind
by
the scenes.
infrastructure? Like, what does that mean?
So whether it's, you know, if we're gonna ever see the first Asian American president, like there needs to be infrastructure to be able to mobilize, and like so basically, if you have a legitimate shot at it, like you need that candidate to have 50 million off the bat, right? Be able to have the people, you know, to fundraise and bundle, having operatives who are ready to rock and roll and operate at that level, right? But not only that, it's like electing members of Congress, going up and down the ladder, like governors, state representatives, mayors, but also not just in politics, but also in business, right? So right now we have, not enough CEOs, but the CEO doesn't dictate everything. You need, board members, you need senior leadership up and down the ladder. And so how are we supporting each other in that way? In the entertainment space, like how do we make sure that, we have these showrunners that are pushing our content? How do we make sure that we have decision makers that, casting directors that are looking for our, so it's like building all that sort of infrastructure instead of us trying to fight for our own scraps. Like, why don't we build that infrastructure so that we can lift everybody up all at the same time?
I have a question, because you're clearly, I can feel that you're very passionate, obviously, right? Passion like that for something that's bigger than oneself usually comes from something much deeper than just like a superficial reason or money, whatever it may be. You're very big on giving a voice to not just, the community, but like just standing up for yourself and giving yourself a voice. Is there something that a passion for that comes from? Like, is there something that really, have you ever like kind of dug into yourself of like, why am I so passionate about? Because that was when I was watching some of your content. That's what really resonated with me, because I didn't always have it in me to like speak up, and in a weird way, like that's kind of one of the reasons that led me to wanting a podcast so bad, was because I never felt like I was heard, and once I did feel like I was heard, I now wanted that for other people. So I kind of wanted to see like what there has to be something that drives that passion. It's not just like a newfound thing. So, yeah.
That's exactly that though, right? Is I grew up being told, and I think it's not just me, like the way I describe it, like to be Asian American is, it's not that there's a big difference between not speaking up for yourself and being told to shut up. And there's a big difference between not standing up for yourself and being told to sit down. And, all my life I was always told like, hey, like make yourself smaller. Hey, you're taking up too much space. Hey, it's not your time to speak up.
Don't cause trouble.
And not feeling heard, understood, respected. And I'm like, I don't want anybody else to feel like this, right? And so for me, it's like when you figure out your why, it allows you to figure out your what. And once you figure out your what, you figure out your how. And you figure out your how, then you start to develop that, conviction and inspiration and vision. And then at the end of the day also is like when it's bigger than you and it's not about yourself, it allows you to not take things personally, which allows you to stay focused and keep on pushing forward. Because at the end of the day, when you're tired and you're exhausted and it's for other people and you feel that sense of responsibility, like you're like, I gotta pull through. And like, I gotta, keep fighting, keep pushing. So that resiliency comes from that.
Yeah, you definitely pushed for that passion and stuff. So what about you then? Like, what is like, I'm hearing his why, what, and how. Like, what became like, because obviously we just started following each other. Obviously your content's way more wholesome and way more better than mine. So I want to know, like, what's your
You're
why?
wholesome, Benji.
Oh, you lying.
that wholesome is in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere. But like, what?
Exterior muscular show.
Yeah, it's like a pistachio. But like, what is your why and your what and how? Because when I watch your content, actually to be fair too, like the content that I really love is like when I see your kids involved, or like I can see like you're such a fun mom, you know, and like that's so cool to do that and still be such a well-known person or someone who's just really hustling with the content that you're doing. And it's really cool just to see, like, you know, a mama 3 with tattoos, Asian. It's like a very unapologetic, you know, this vibe, but you can also see that you love your kids just as much as like what you do. So like, I guess I'm just wondering, like, what is your why and what's your what? Like, what's your passions and like, what are you looking forward to next? Because like, what's next for you?
Basically, art is a big passion of mine. Art, food, and then of course my kids. But also, I just love creating memories and saving those memories. And that's what I kind of tell people what I do is I just create memories and I'm just recording it, you know, and I want to remember every special moment, whether it's the food I make, whether it's the things I do with my kids, whether it's the art I make. I want to remember that. I want to share it. I want to share it with my kids, you know. And so for me, it's like I already do this stuff already. So for me, it's like, why don't I just record it and share it anyway, you know, like, and I feel like it helps people realize, like, you can still have fun, you know. That's a big part of my, you know, whole thing is that you can still be your own self. You can still have your own identity. You're not just like a mom now, you know, you're still multifaceted. You can still do great things as a parent, you know, you're not just stuck doing these mediocre, like, chores all day, you know. And like the lunch thing, you know, honestly, I don't love cooking. I love eating more than cooking, but I know. I mean,
I was gonna say that's like I don't want to eat.
I mean, some people don't. You know, some people work in kitchens all day and they cook, but they don't. They'll eat like canned chicken. You know, and
Canned chicken.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, with all that being said, like, is there? Because I think it kind of ties in with what Sam was saying a bit. Like, do you, like, you know, obviously you are an Asian American woman. Like, is there some type of pride or sense that you have in your content, probably being like a sole Asian content creator, like supporting as like a single mom with 3 kids and cooking? Like, is there like some type of, I don't know, does that make sense? Like, there's like
I have
this
a follow-on
energy
question to
about
that
it.
too.
Like, I
well,
don't know how
my
to really
biggest
put
thing
together, like,
was
are you
sharing
proud of-
cultural
sharing culture.
stuff.
That's what
You
it
know,
is.
like
Okay.
my lunches got so big that people wanted kimchi all day. You know, they wanted their moms to pack kimchi when they're not, you know, Asian.
Yeah.
And so that makes me really happy, you know, just sharing that part. And like you know, like there was like millions of people who were like, I want that lunch, adopt me. And it was from all over the world. So like that part,
I wanted
guess.
spam masubi because of you like 2 days ago. And speaking of like everyone wanting something after your show, she actually has her new cookbook. And would you like to explain this?
Yeah, no, it's like the stuff that you make that on the day to day, from what I remember.
Yeah, so
Kids are on the back.
I love doing international comfort foods. So there's a lot of stuff that I make for my kids, a lot of stuff that I love around the world, recipes that are comfort food. So there's, you know, there's all kinds, Korean food, Mexican food.
What I open up to.
Blackened salmon Caesar salad.
This is why they call you the bento box girl. Huh? Look at that.
Queen.
Queen,
bro.
what?
Queen, you said
Show
girl?
Put some respect on
What
that.
the fuck, dude?
Pause.
Yo, cancel
Bento
him.
box queen.
Yo, cancel him. Cancel this
I'm
podcast.
done.
My bad.
She walks off.
The thing is, like, she like easily like has significantly more influence than all 4 of us combined.
know,
So, like,
yeah,
we should praise
I
her.
wanna
I believe
You know?
it. I believe it. That's why I'm like, and look, like, this is what I love.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, she has photos of her and her kids. It's like, God, you did like a whole photo shoot, everything for this.
Yeah,
huh?
and I like styled everything.
So you
know,
did like,
everything. There is a lot
beautiful.
going on, but yeah, it's kind of like a biography-ish And
All right, yeah. Now, like,
Cookbook.
next person I try to date, like, I'm just gonna compare, and I'm just friends with
don't
them.
wanna
Like,
have
you
a-
don't even.
if you don't have a cookbook, I
ben-
don't want
you
it.
don't have a bento box cookbook. You don't do this for me.
You know what this reminds me of? So when I was so I'm half Japanese, half Chinese, and then when I was in kindergarten, I went to private school, but my mom always packed me a bento box. But this is back. I'm born in 1994, so when I was that age, Asian food was not well known.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
So
you got made fun of, you know.
I
that's
got
smelly.
called, like the whole
Yeah.
school started chanting like seaweed eater, all
Yeah.
that stuff. But I love this because it reminds me like this is like the education that is sent out to like the world right
Yeah.
now to Asian Americans.
Right.
And like now the next generation doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Call this
Like, my
seaweed eater.
kids-
They want that stuff.
You made
know?
this for himbos. Thank
Yeah.
you. You got pictures for me.
They're all hand drawn too.
Yeah, they're all. I was like,
Benji's literate, but like
I thought
that's a stretch by even saying that, you know?
pictures.
I understand.
I can cook to the hand.
I eat to the
I know this shape.
She's like a small dice, medium dice, large. I don't even know this. See, Bernoulli is fine. I don't even know what the hell that is, but I would do one of these three. So.
I actually had a question.
No, but I was gonna say
Yeah.
my kids, I would pack like a little bit of kimchi because my oldest is 12 now, so you know I've been doing this for a long time, and I would put a little bit, and then she'd be like, "What the heck, Mom? I want more." So like that was like
beautiful.
the time where I was like, "Okay."
What a
it's-
time.
It's good now, you know, like I can, and they want my lunches all the time. They don't care if it's, you know, smelly or I literally pack everything. 된장찌개, you know. Yeah, like they love it, and you know now their friends are like, I want that, I want that. Can I try? You know.
I was gonna say, so serious question, because I think probably you and I went through it. Maybe not them because they're more on the West Coast, but like, do your kids ever like come back home like, were they ever like embarrassed or got made fun of for the food that they brought? Because my mom brought like, you know, the whole container of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And I would literally like, it's so embarrassing looking back. Like I would, when I got to school,
Yeah.
I would dump it in the garbage can
yeah.
and keep it and I wouldn't
Yeah.
eat that whole day because I
Right.
was because one time I'd eat, everyone's like smelling it, making fun of
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And I remember I would like literally go home and my mom was, oh, how she tried so hard.
Yeah.
And I could not tell her. So I like
Yeah.
went my entire elementary life like lying.
Yeah.
So that she'd like make
I mean, that
more.
happened all the time, though. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, like things were so crazy.
It was different back then.
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
thought it was just me.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if like, if does your kids like,
It's all of us.
You realize,
like have they ever,
fucking
I
piece of
guess.
shit.
There was one moment where my middle child was like, "Is it okay if I have school lunch?" And it was like a week, and I understand because kids want what other people have. You know,
course.
like everyone wants what they
Yeah.
don't
you
have.
want to feel part of the
Yeah,
family.
included, whatever. So she did that for a week, and then she was like, "Never mind." Like, and then ever since then,
pizza's ass.
it's yeah.
This cool pizzas.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and then ever since then, I'll be like, why don't you get school lunch? Sometimes, you know, like when I'm tired or like, you know,
Yeah.
there's days when I like don't want to make lunch, but she's like, no, never again. And then my little one,
Oh man.
she will make me make her lunch, but if she does see something at school lunch, she'll get both. And so she'll have
she's
the best
smart.
of both
She's
worlds.
smart.
Yo, she's 5 and can do like one-arm pull-ups. It's crazy.
damn.
She's a beast.
I've never done a one-arm pull in my life.
No, I mean neither.
She can
I
do
need-
37 push-ups in like
Is this one?
2 minutes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
She's 5.
I'm ready to.
That's wild.
She's
Hey,
already more athletic than my nephew.
What do you feed her?
She's like, she's definitely
Kimchi is
Yeah, kimchi.
You want real gains?
Yeah,
That's it right there.
send me her diet plan. I need.
So-
She's actually working on her abs because she was like, I want abs like you. Yeah.
I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, so these kids are your kids are definitely growing up in like a really strong, like in a good era when it comes to like the AAPI community and like growth,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So I don't know like how much racism or any like issues they really deal with. Do they like ever come home like and have
They
these
don't
issues?
because they have me, and I'm
You're
a
pretty-
TikTok.
Oh,
mom,
okay,
You know, so
gotcha.
they never get made fun
I
of
actually-
for anything like that. You know, I mean, they get bullied here and there, but it's more like boys picking on them for
'Cause
silly
they like
things.
them.
yeah.
Damn, me and Sam just went
But-
through the fucking ringer. Then I was like,
Oh,
Yeah.
it was
I have,
brutal.
I have a question.
I mean,
in
I
regards to
did.
that,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
grew up, you know, I'm older than you guys. Like
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
I was always made fun of.
And then where were you born again? Or
I was born in the Philippines
in the Philippines?
on
Okay.
base.
Yeah, and then what
And
part of the
then-
states did you
And
live?
then I moved to LA, K-Town, and then I moved to Vegas in middle school.
Okay. I was gonna say, nice. And then you had a question. Sorry.
Yeah. So she was. I mean, something you said earlier kind of hinted at a little bit of imposter syndrome, where especially when you first started out, you're like, who's gonna listen to me, right? Like, why would people want to listen to me? And since we've only just met, I don't know if you still carry that with you, or if you still feel that way. But I think it's something like a lot of us can probably relate to, where there's a passion or there's something we want to do, and we're like, that's stupid. Like, no one would want to listen to me anyway, right? Outside looking in, there's no one that's going to look at you and your career and think like, oh yeah, like she hasn't made it, right? Like, a lot of people are going to look at you and be like, she's made it. Like, it's the Queen of Bento box, right?
Queen.
But that doesn't always reflect inside looking out what you might feel. So like, as someone that is at the level that you're at and done what you've done, not just for yourself, your kids and the community, do you feel like you've made it, or do you still have a little bit of you that's kind of like, who am I to be doing this, or like a little bit of that imposter syndrome?
I definitely don't have imposter syndrome. The only thing I didn't have was the credibility of the culinary world. But I always kind of knew who I was. I knew I wanted to change the world. That's kind of my goal. Like, I don't want to, like, being rich or being, whatever, New York Times bestseller, like all that stuff. Like, yeah, that's like whatever, a goal to have, having a cookbook. But for me, I want to feed kids, I want to feed starving children. I want to go and build homes and do more stuff that's,
Because I can tell you
more
don't
meaningful.
you don't have imposter. You could just feel her
Yeah, it was
confidence,
like,
like the
it
way
hinted at, I was
she
like,
walks in and
Yeah,
how
she's
I met
sad.
her. Even it's like she don't have none of
Do
that.
you feel like
insecurities.
you've made it? Because a lot of people looking at you are like, dude, she's fucking made it. But again, like, I think there's a certain mindset that people that go their own path has, and it's like, there's always more. I can always be better. I can do something more. Right? Do you feel like you've quote unquote like made it the way that people think?
I mean, there's so many things that I want to do still, so it's like I don't feel like I'll ever say like, "Oh, I've made it." You
What
know?
would constitute making it? for
Changing
you?
the world.
Yeah, like changing the world, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
something-
mean, if I can, like feed more kids, like that's more making it for me than like, if I can make parents love their kids more, spend more time with them, that makes me more happy than anything else.
I love that.
And then-
So that, I don't know, that's just.
No, I mean that's a great mindset to have, and that's why we brought you on. And then obviously speaking on some type of imposter syndrome or stuff that we relate to. One thing I definitely wanted to talk about with you today, and your sneakers. What are those? Just kidding. Yeah, I mean.
Well, no. What are those?
I mean, well, what are those? But respectfully, what are those?
Yeah.
It's my sneaker brand that I co-founded with my co-founder Adam King.
Wait, can you redo that and say that with like some emphasis? You just made it sound like this is like not a big deal. Like, oh, just it's a sneaker thing I own. No, man. What are those, bro? What are those?
Let me. I got this. Okay.
Say my first rodeo, bro.
Brother, I'm playing.
I love it.
No, but for real though, it's called 1587 Sneakers. It's 1587 is the year that the first Asian stepped foot in what is now known as North America. It was a Filipino off a Spanish boat, and it's like so. Like, it's important for us to do it justice. Like, it's a really monumental time for us, but also it's complicated, right? Because it was, there's a bit of a dark history behind it. So, but at the same time, like we're the first Asian American, like Asian founded sneaker brand. And for us, like it was super important for us to make sure that we made like the dopest shoe possible. And my business partner Adam had been in the sneaker industry for 20 years, worked for Reebok, Koyo, Adidas, all the biggest, worked in multiple different components of the different departments. And it was always being told that Asians aren't worth marketing to, that we're just a follower consumer. And so they'll just throw, sell whatever to us and we'll just go buy that shit just because, we're not leaders. We're not, directing or paving the way in industry, which is bullshit. If you actually look through, pop culture, fashion, like Asian Americans are like the creative director of like Oscar de la Renta. Like they're some of the biggest designers. They're some of the most important executives and decision makers and influencers like Bobby Hundreds, right? Jeff Staples. And this idea that we're not cool is also ridiculous. And so on top of it, we're the fastest growing racial demographic. We make up nearly 9% of the US population and also 14% of all sneaker sales. So imagine what would happen if you actually marketed to us correctly. And so our whole thing is we wanted to be unapologetically Asian American, and we didn't want to be gimmicky. We didn't like feel like we had to do all these different things to like make it, explicitly Asian American, because what that means so many different things for people, right? We come from 21 different countries. We speak dozens of different languages, have differences in culture and even, we obviously similarities, but that's why like this shoe specifically, I wanted the all white Italian leather, full grain Italian leather, the same leather that Gucci Prada uses, but I want it to be like a blank canvas so that eventually we can do some collaborations with artists and people to like really highlight our culture and our community, but also put in different things like if you know type things like, I'm probably take my shoe off and show it around a little bit. But it says
I smell something a little,
a little funky.
Right now.
But it says,
Hey, love that.
Leave your shoes at the door.
So,
So clever.
like if you know, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't, then get with it.
Be better.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't have to explain ourselves to you anymore, right?
Yeah.
So like a big thing for me is like confidence is not like banging on your chest, pounding it, and being like, look at me, but it's just knowing who you are, right? You talked about Jess, like Jess walks in, like she doesn't need to tell everybody, hey, I'm this, OG major influencer. Yeah. Like she knows that. So she doesn't give a shit if you need to know or or not. And for us, like, that's why we did the discreet stuff is like, we don't need to explain ourselves to you anymore. And we don't need to cater to you. Like we believe so strongly in our community and our brand that we're just going to make the dopest shoe possible. And we're going to tell you that's Asian American. We're not going to apologize for it. And we know we're going to crush it.
That just gave me
like
fucking chills.
We don't need you to accept us. We're here. Like this is what we do.
Yeah, we're not going to wait for Nike or Adidas. No offense to them, all due respect, but like we're not going to wait for them to get it right with us. We're like, we're just going to do that shit ourselves. Yeah.
So for 1587, obviously you guys are like a year in, a lot of success is coming through. Obviously you could talk about that if you want, but I want to know, obviously, like what's the end goal for 1587? Like, is there more that you want to do outside of shoes, or like, we love hoops. Like, is there a 1587 basketball sneak? Like, do you like what's the major goal of 1587? Like, where's your mind going? Because obviously that I'm slowly opening up a jewelry brand with obviously Chris and Saint and other friends that I have, but
shout out to KY too.
Yeah. So KY, shout out KY, love ya. But our goal is to be men's lifestyle. Like, it's not just jewelry. Sometimes we want to do pieces of custom clothing or a fragrance or like something that just attracts for everything that guys need. So like, what about 1587 sneakers? Like, is there more than just the luxury brand shoe?
100%. We just launched our slides. We have hats, sneakers. We had a T-shirt that came out with Kimchi Juice. I think she's going to go down as one of the greatest artists of our generation. Like, she's fucking brilliant. 23 years old. Julia, shout out to Julia. She's doing a 40-foot mural in Atlanta right now, like with Minhua Spirits. It's crazy. Her vision of how she sees things, and so for us, that shirt sold out in 3 hours, right? So like our hats, our hoodies, all that stuff been selling out. We've already sold out through 3 runs of shoes. We're working with a factory in China now to like open up, and we're gonna vastly expand our production. But also for me though, it was like we needed to get our first product down right. I think sometimes like people will just get a little bit ahead of themselves, but you have that grander vision, but like you gotta nail it the first thing you do, right? Like that intro to the market and get that right and do that so well, and then you can open up and branch off. And so eventually I want us, it's like, that's why our ethos is like being unapologetically ourselves, right? And so it's a beyond even Asian American. Everybody wants to be that. Like, we're sick and tired of being told like who we can be, how we have to behave, what we're allowed to do and what we can and can't say. And it's not that we shouldn't be thoughtful and mindful, but we want to be accepted for who we are, right? And so that's why we think that message resonates with people, and that's what we're building our brand off of. Is if we want you to be a part of that, and we want to give you that permission, so you can give yourself permission to go and be your best self, your authentic self. And so that's why it's just, for us, it's like the sneakers, yeah, that's how we got known. That's gonna always be our baby. But then there's a much grander vision beyond that.
Yeah, I love that. I think like, I'm sure this is not unique to Asian Americans, but I think there's a certain mindset with, we grow up in a weird way. We grow up being told, or it's even like sub-communicated, but we grow up being told what we're capable of. And I think that is so dangerous because you grow up thinking you can only do this much because no other Asian's done it or no one else like you has done it. It completely kills what future you could, like the good you can bring to other people. And it's just like, if people, like, I love that, because it's just like the more Asian Americans that make it, or there's just like more people that are able to lift others up, the more of them that make it, like the less people are going to be concerned with or have that thought of, I'm not capable of it, so like why should I even try?
Yeah.
You know, like, I love that. Yeah. I genuinely love that.
I think it just fosters like the whole spirit of like AAPI and like where we're trying to do, you know, we're not trying to bring anyone down, we're trying to take everyone with us, and like, you know, I love that.
He brought that out of me. So no, seriously. I mean, Sam met me when we first met. You know how against I was?
Yeah.
I actually remember our conversation. So it's so funny looking back that when we first met, I have like a basketball playing background. So like that's what it was. But like there's this whole thing of me getting booted, blah, blah, whatever. Don't care about it anymore. But I remember at this point.
Sure? Are you sure?
I mean,
it seems like you still care.
I'm petty. But like the whole story, but but the whole concept is like, I had this thing weighing on me so much where I just didn't care about Asian people.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
Yeah.
Just because of how I was raised, you know, being from Michigan,
Right.
and I wasn't around anyone. So like obviously when I moved here, I transitioned my life to acting. I had to be more open to like a lot of things, but I was still like uncomfortable around everyone, you know? So when I met Sam, because we talked, like I said, it was just like a friendly, like just a genuine relationship where it was easy to talk to. And now looking back with everything he knew of me prior, it was so cool to see him like, hold your tongue. Like you could have easily walked away from all the shit that I was saying, because I was just so against it. I'm like, you know what? Fuck Korea. Like I was like I don't fuck with them, they don't fuck with me. I was like, what have Asian people done for me? Like that's actually like that was my energy for most of the time. So when I moved here,
and I mean, I feel like a lot of people are like that.
So it sucks, but like I said, like what you guys do, that's why I admire both of you guys. I've obviously met you more, and I think you're fucking dope too, where it's like I went to your TAF event and they know like I came back completely changed. It was like a weird twist of like
an emotional glow up.
It really was, because I don't think you guys know. It had nothing, and it really had nothing to do with basketball. It was just like, that was the first time since I retired from playing that I was able to go to a basketball gym, see a bunch of Asian fans, but that was the first time I can play with just pure joy. Like I didn't have any sense of care about missing a game-winning shot, someone on me. I was just enjoying every second with everyone, and that made me almost like fall in love with playing. I'm like, I wish I felt this again around, and like I gave like it reawakened something where I was like, it was just different. There was no, and then I actually bumped into my fans from Mongolia and Taiwan that live in New York. I don't know if they actually were at the game, so it almost sparked like a whole like, man, I needed this closure.
Yeah.
And then meeting you and everyone that you networked with me, obviously it's benefiting me in other parts of my career at the moment. That all those take time, but that's the first time I went to an event where I'm like, wow, Asian people do support each other. They do want to help. No one's gatekeeping. Not that it matters, like, because I feel like I always give, right? And I get nothing in return. So it's so nice to see someone that looks like me, where I feel like I'm giving, and I feel like I'm giving back. They're giving back more. And then I'm like, man, Asian people are actually fucking dope. Like that was actually, I really think that moment a month ago was a turning point of like believing there's a support system. And that's so dope that I was a part of that, and like you're a part of it. And that's why like, and then you're a part of it as well. So it's so so cool. So I hope Taft knows that if you guys see this, like
Yeah.
that moment changed my life, and I hope that I'll be back there next year with an actual purpose and everything that I accomplished. Because I was telling them I'm not going back to that event until I'm something. Like I'm gonna be a speaker. Like that's already my mindset that I'm running into.
But that's what I want for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Like I was in government for 10 years, and especially when you're a staffer, it's always you gotta be behind the scenes and you can't be seen, and I think while you're being a staffer, I think that's super important, right? When you're on the job, it's not about you, it's about the principal, and you gotta execute and you gotta do your job and be prepared and all that stuff. I totally believe that, but life goes beyond that 9 to 5. It starts, you have a whole life before it hits 9 o'clock, and you got a whole life after it hits 5 o'clock.
Arguably, if not just as important,
But it's like, how are you spending that time, right? And so for me, it was always, why not pursue these interests that I have? I live one time. Like, I'm not gonna limit myself. And the thing about me was always like, you build those relationships. But it's something my mom told me. A single mom. Grew up poor. My dad left when I was 13, 14. And I was actually the one that told him, like, you got to go, right? But what killed me was like, realizing he had his bags already packed, and so he was waiting on me to be like, someone to give him that excuse to leave, right? And that really fucked me up for a while. But I had a really amazing support system, within my coaches, my boys, and I found out later my mom was actually the one that went and asked them to look out for me, right? And to think about like, an Asian parent like asking other people for help to raise your kids, like, that takes another level amount of love, right? So, all that, like for me, was always like, how do I, use this time to make sure that I'm lifting other people up and just pushing forward and not putting a limit on myself. And, if all these different interests, I'm just going to go for it. And because in high school, like I was a varsity baseball player, played three sports, and I was so afraid of pursuing like acting or speech and debate team because I was afraid my boys were going to make fun of me because it's already hard enough to be Asian, right? Like, and so I limited myself then. And then I remember when IG first came out, I wanted to like, do content and stuff. And like, I was so afraid of being judged, I didn't. So then when TikTok came out, I was like, fuck this, I'm going for it. Right. And and for me, it was like building those relationships along the way over 10 plus years, that was just genuine, authentic relationship, not me wanting something from you. Just, I just want to say what's up. And then over time, build that relationship, but also knowing that like, I know I have more to give. And eventually that time will come, right? And so that's why I just always took opportunities and went and gave it everything I had, because then another door opens up that you don't know about, right? And then you go pursue that and you learn. And it's not about, hey, am I gonna fail? Because even if you do fail, like I learned something along that way, and it just wasn't the right opportunity for me. Or it was, I need to learn that lesson in order to be better for my next thing. So that's where like I just always was doing different things and pursuing it, but always doing it with intention, doing it with integrity, and then doing it with conviction. And that has opened up more and more doors. But it is always with the mindset of, how do I then bring other people along? I'm going to put you on. And then hopefully that will just continue to compound and we'll be able to really change the world.
I mean, it's already shown, bro.
Yeah.
And obviously shout out to your mom too. So
yeah, shout out Mama Hyun,
Korean
man.
moms are
legend.
Yeah,
Legend.
if they go out their way and asking for help too, it's something serious,
Bro,
man.
I wanted to
Like,
ask, man, like, how did you? Because I'm not gonna lie, I saw the video you did with your mom, and that like really touched me, because I'm not gonna lie, I want to bring my mom on the podcast at least once, but the thought of it terrifies me because, one, how my relationship with my mom now is so different from my relationship with her when I was a kid growing up, and I know it was for you too, because I could tell I saw a lot of similarities. But what was that like for you? Because like the thought of her also being on the podcast also terrifies me, because there is, just as I've learned more about myself, there's a level of vulnerability that my mom brings out of me that I can't hold back on. Like, like I'm tearing up to even think about it right now. So I just want to know, like, what was it like for you? Because when I saw that, it immediately like it hit me.
Yeah, no, I actually, just did a Korean American Story, just did a sit down legacy story recording with them, and I didn't start crying until I started talking about my mom, and that's when I started, and I'll start with, to me, I think being vulnerable, and I think that's that you being terrified is all the more reason you should do it, and just embrace it. And for me, like being vulnerable is actually a sign of strength. And then you guys talked about it in your pod. It was like, that sharing that how you feel and asking for help and be like, look, I'm fucking scared, and I need help. And I feel alone. I feel like the walls are kind of caving in on me. All the more reason to stick your hand out and be like, and even if someone doesn't grab your hand, like, I know that's not fear, but like you got to, right? And it's okay, right? And so for me with my mom, it was, I got a shout out to Carol over at Maku, and Maku, they sent me all this makgeolli, and they're like, hey, can you just do an IG with your mom? Because we see how close you guys are. And so we did that, and we talked about Asian American identity, and what that meant to her, what that meant to me. And what she said was like, she didn't realize that she was Asian American until she went back to Korea for the first time in 27 years.
Dang.
And yeah.
Why didn't she?
She's afraid.
I think my mom
pain.
did the same thing too.
And we went back, and so she hadn't spoken to her siblings in 27 years.
Wow.
And it was a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding. And what it was when she got divorced, and like we were just really struggling, almost not being able to, make rent so many different times. And she's like, they never called me one time.
Yeah.
Right. But then when we went out to dinner, it was like, why didn't you never reached out? So we thought you had made it in America, and you thought you were too good for us, and that's why you never reached out.
Yeah.
And so like I learned from that is like so much of the pain and so much of the difficulties and challenges that we have in the world stem from miscommunication that leads to misunderstanding, and misunderstanding that leads to miscommunication.
That's such
right?
I feel like it's an Asian thing, because my mom has the same issue. It's like, I've asked, I'm like, Oma, why don't you like try to reach out? They're like, they don't reach out. So I'm like, it's okay to be the first person. Like, some of them, I don't know if your mom, but my mom's very prideful. That typical like great lady. I love, that's my mom. I love her to death. That's like my momager in a sense, I always say. But she's a tiger mom at the same time, like very stubborn. So it's crazy to hear like, man, our culture's like a lot about miscommunication and just not speaking.
We just
like you can't.
the emotion.
Yeah, we're just learned. We're trained to not talk, and but even with my mom, like we grew closer as I got older. Obviously, having kids and stuff, and I never really spoke to her about anything personal, but like but it changed as I grew older. And then she, like, literally my mom would comment and like every single story on every single platform, and she was like, I love you so much on every single thing,
That's
and
cute.
so once you do open that relationship up, which that's what they want, really, that's what they want. And all they want to do is they want to charanya you, and like no matter what you're doing, they just care.
So did you have because I'm speaking because I have an older sister, and I just want to know, like, did you have like a not so good relationship with your mom until you hit a certain age?
I mean,
like,
there was
like
always
almost like
love. Like, I love my mom so much, and like that was there. But like, I just never talked to her about anything. Like,
Okay.
like dating life, like school life, anything.
Definitely
like
not the party life.
Like, I moved out basically.
My sister would snitch on me though.
When I moved out right after high school.
Oh.
And
Very
I didn't tell my
non-Asian.
mom. I didn't want to disappoint her. Like, not disappoint her, but I didn't want her upset or anything like that. So I didn't even tell her. And like, she was like, what the hell? Like, I could have given you money for help, or like I could have at least like bought you a fridge, or like, anything like that. And I was like, I didn't want anything from anyone. I didn't want anything from my parents. I just wanted to do everything on my own, and I was like, I knew you were going to step in.
Yeah.
You were going to probably tell me, like, because my mom and my stepdad were like, move to LA, come live with us. I'll buy you a Beamer, like literally the Korean parents. And like, I was like, I don't want that. I want to live on my own. And like, I didn't tell you because I knew you wouldn't let me. And she found out eventually. I can't even remember when. Maybe
You
it
did
was
this
like,
after high school.
yeah, and I graduated when I was 17.
Like, what made you like? I feel like that's such a I'm trying to think of myself like after high school, right? Like
Definitely wasn't moving out
I'm
like
moving.
that.
I'm mom, dad, peace. Like I needed to do my own thing.
I
Like,
can see that.
what made you make like that's a huge jump because you're
Yeah.
I was unhappy with my family. Like
I
growing
resonate
up,
with that.
I just I didn't have the best relationship with my stepmom.
okay.
So I was like, and I hated relying on people for anything. I never ever want anything from anyone. You know,
Still like that.
Still like that.
I mean,
He's like, yeah, still like that.
so I just, I worked my butt off. I got a job right when I got 16. I loved working. I worked all the time, and then I saved up, and me and my best friend at the time got our own place. Moved out, and I wrote my dad. I couldn't even tell my dad, so like I wrote him a letter and like basically told him how I felt, how I've been feeling my whole life, living, like not happy, and I peace out. And
No, this
Seems like you two kind
no,
of.
like this shit's crazy because
Yeah.
like to this
He's like-
day,
he's like
so
that a
I
little
haven't like been open with my mom, like to this day, because I don't even know where to start.
yeah,
Because it's like I grew up in a very religious family. A little bit about me, I was actually homeschooled not by choice, but until junior year of high school. So I had no social interactions with anyone till that age. So when you said like you moved out at like right end of high school, resonate with that because that's what I did. But instead of like moving out, I just moved to college, far away.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have done that. That probably would have been easier. I did want to go to college in New York, but I was like,
thing to do.
right,
So
yeah.
you didn't go to college.
I did go to college, but
Oh, okay.
But that was my only two choices. I was like, I want to go to New York for fashion school, or I'm going to stay because I have all these scholarships. It's easy for me to go to
Same thing. Though,
UNLV,
same thing,
So
So you're smart too.
Yeah,
God.
smart.
that's
How do you have that conversation? Because I don't even know where to start. Like I bet there's
you got
a
any
ton of
advice
people
for him?
out there.
Yeah.
Advice for
With,
him?
in the same
like the
situation.
parent thing.
Yeah, because it's like religious background.
You
care
just
about
have to do
them.
it, and they'll accept you for who you are, like because they're older,
Yeah.
they can't do anything, they can't say anything to force you to be a certain way, and all they can do is accept you for who you are, even if it's not, on the same level, religious wise or whatever.
Yeah.
But they'll still love you, they'll still love you, they'll still be proud, and you just have to just do it.
Yeah, I think I'm traumatized because my brother had that conversation with her, and then she like
Didn't go well.
disowned him.
Yeah.
But like, but here's the thing
Yeah.
though, right? Is I did that with my dad. So when I went to Korea for the first time 5 years ago, like I saw my dad for the first time in 10 years.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for the first time in 10 years. But there's things that you need to do beforehand. Like one, you need to go through your own healing journey and forgive yourself first.
Okay.
Right? You need to like be able to get to that place where you're like, you've given yourself permission to let go. But also what I learned from that, with my dad was I learned that forgiveness is not to absolve him of any of the harm that he caused on me or anything that he did wrong. That's something that he's got to wrestle with. That's something that he's going to have to deal with and figure out for his own. But I forgave him so that I was giving myself permission to move on and heal, that I no longer have to carry that baggage. I could let it go. And so when I went there, it was never with an expectation of I wanted my dad to respond or give me some sort of answer that I wanted to hear, because I just accepted that, like, maybe this version that I have of him in my head is not who he is or never will be. So when I went there, though, it was important that I set boundaries with him first. I said, look, if I'm gonna say what I need to say right now, and you're gonna let me finish every single word. If you interrupt me one time, I'm out of here and you're never gonna see me again, right? So I set that boundary with him. And to his credit, like, he let me finish, and I went all out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fucking like, 콧물, like, everything. I'm
Yeah,
crying,
everything.
fucking like, we're drinking like soju and like, so I'm just like, at this
soju
point, I'm just like, like drinking out the bottle, right?
Yo, close up shot of like the shot glass going down.
Yeah, like, damn it. No, that actually happened.
That actually happened.
Real life K-drama.
And you got all the waiters.
And then you hear
like,
like the
what is-
dramatic music and the subway, subway sign come up, But it was important that I set that boundary with him, right? And have those conversations and just be willing to not have that expectation with him, right? And it was more for me. It was not about him. But when you go in where you're like, I really need this person to say something, you've already set yourself up to fail. And quite frankly, like people, everyone, including ourselves, right? Like we're all flawed. So it's always like, hey, like I'm doing this because I need to heal. And when you're trying to approach it from getting something, then you're already setting yourself up to fail. And so it's more of giving yourself permission that, you know, that it's okay and forgiving yourself first.
Yeah. That's self-love, man.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
We gotta, like, I think a lot of people in today's day and age get self-love pretty twisted. They think it's just like doing whatever makes you happy. And it's like, actually self-love is doing a lot of things that might not make you happy.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
do not text that person, or like maybe not drink this, or like, you know, it's self-love is making so that the future you can be happy.
Yeah.
Not
I gotta stop texting back.
What would you
And
say?
I was gonna say, you know, with my dad, I never talked to him about anything, but that letter was what I needed to do. You know,
I think that's a good. I think knowing my mom,
So-
I think that's gonna be a good intro to
Yeah.
have the conversation instead of
Yeah.
just like catching her cold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because my dad never, you know, he never like came and talked to me about it because he knows deep down, and I know deep down, and you know, everything was just laid out, and he just cried, and that was like pretty much it. But you know, like I'm okay, and I've moved on, and you know.
But they also have trauma, right? And like I think we forget that
They also have
shit
trauma
ton-
that
they have, and
They have
have
way
trauma.
less resources than we do to.
they don't have the
dig into our
language, the
emotions.
frameworks to like
Yeah.
think about things and process. And like, so I think about, and my dad helped me really understand, I think, you know, about being a man and like what, like for me, it's like you come to America and he comes at 30 years old, and this is supposed to be the land of opportunity where like anybody and everybody can make it, right? And he comes here and he like speaks some decent English, and you know he's educated, you know he's tall, he's charismatic, good looking. So he's like, oh, I got this. Like I'm about to live on my wildest dreams. But then all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, I don't know anybody here. I don't know the system. I don't know how to navigate it. But then you also don't have anybody to talk to about mental health and your emotions. And then now not only do you not have that, but you also gotta take care of your family. But then also the pride of like you went to America and you didn't make it. You loser, right? And so all that stuff, like how, like he doesn't have the emotional, mental, you know, bandwidth to be able to like, and doesn't, again, not to excuse it, but like, in order, like, if you don't understand and try to see it from their vantage point and understand their perspective, you are not setting yourself up for success to have that constructive, healing conversation that you need.
Yeah.
Man, this shit's.
It's deep.
I think we all had that for sure.
That's what, not just for us, right? Like, but for everyone out there, like that's the support system. Because like before I think we thought like our support system is just immediate circle, which is like, that is very important. But I think like the more Asian Americans, especially the younger ones, especially the ones that might be ashamed, that know that there's a support system out there for them to do whatever it is that they want to do. It, like the thing about all the things that we all did, we've all covered it, because we were ashamed of being Asian. We are where we are now because we started to like love ourselves and we love being Asian. Imagine where we would be if that self-acceptance had started when we were kids, you know? Like imagine how different the world would look, how different we would look if we didn't throw out our lunchbox, if we didn't hide the food that we did, if we, I don't know about y'all, like my shame for being Asian came out in my hatred to my parents growing. It wasn't like a literal, like it was just like I was ashamed to even be seen with them, even though I obviously cannot change the color of my skin. I was ashamed to even like be seen with my parents because it's like everything about them is Asian. They're proud of their culture. And I'm just like, I'm trying to show I'm different. I like make fun of other Asians because I'm being made fun of. So it's like, I'm trying to show that I'm different. So I'm trying to conform, but it's like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that self-acceptance had started at a much younger age, who knows what the world will like. There's kids out there. There are kids alive right now that are going to change the world more than any of us will ever do.
100%.
You know, but
that's where
they'll be able to do it if they accept it themselves. You know,
you guys are definitely doing it right. It's like really
Yeah.
dope to see. Like, obviously your side, like definitely inspiring, you know, your own kids and seeing them. They're going to grow up really strong, just like their mom. You can clearly see it.
And they love being Asian. You
Yeah.
know, like my oldest one, she's just like made a sign that says "I love Asians" and had all her friends hold it up and like, you know, she
I
like
love that.
loves.
I could
Yeah,
never do
she
that.
loves
Yeah.
it.
Dude,
Mine was
12-year-old?
like,
no.
mine was like, I want to be black. Like, that would have been that was
Like
like my
legit.
side. Like, I literally want to be black. Like,
I
you
love
know.
playing tennis. I played football and stuff because that's what all the white kids were doing.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is, like, you brought up solely, people don't know this, but like, obviously I played 4 years of varsity basketball. Like, that was my sport. I played a little bit of football. The funny part is, all through high school, no one knew. I wanted to be in theater.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like doing all the, and I never did it because I was gonna be quote unquote, you know, FAG.
You would have been torn apart.
Yeah, you've been torn apart, bro.
So I was literally, and you know what's really fucking funny is the fact is like, you know, there's those stories like people would like, because I think we all went through it maybe one time. Like, you'd go home and watch anime, but you won't tell anyone because it's like a cartoon.
Yeah, I would run home to watch
Yeah.
Pokemon, man.
So like for me,
Naruto? Oh
my
my
thing
God.
was like I wanted to watch High School Musical because
yeah.
I literally felt this guy playing basketball, but he wanted
Zac
that.
Efron killed it.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
this guy's living my life, except I can't dance or sing. But I wanted to watch it. I would love that movie solely because, and I never told him, wow, yeah, I love the movie High School Musical because it literally felt like, I was like,
That's me. That should be me.
Oh my
one
God.
tear just rolling down his eye, like that's me.
yeah,
I feel that,
that's
dude.
I was like,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
movie. So it's just crazy to see like how everything is kind of changing now. And
It's
to
beautiful,
be
though.
fair, like I think both of you guys are huge reasons why that's happening. I know to you guys, you might think it's like in a micro, like looking at it in a microscope, but to me, it's like you guys are actually, to me, pushing that boundary of making things happen. Like, obviously, I'm trying my own way. I'm sure we all are trying in our own way, but just to see it ahead of me, like seeing you do it with food, love, makeup, and seeing it with your kids, like to me, like that's so inspiring. Like, all right, there's people like that.
Yeah.
Then
I
you
hope
got
we can
Sam
make
doing
a
things for
fraction
me
of
and
it,
things
so.
like that, where now I see him, how his network is, and he's pushing the envelope with just shoes, clothing, and helping me and helping others. Like, it's just like, we need more people like you guys, where you say there's this infrastructure. Like, dude, that's like so important. It's like really dope to have both of you guys on.
Yeah,
and see
for me
that.
personally, just like being here, like kind of like it's a good reminder, you know, to spread that same mindset to the next person next to me, because it's like I forget about that sometimes. You know,
I really
so
think-
just like always giving back, always having the mentality. It's great to be Asian. Have this hard conversation with your parents because you also went through that. So it's just like it's all like, oh wow,
We're rolling. I love you.
I love you, bro. I'm like, what's going on right now?
You're about to get caught in the crosshairs.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. He doesn't. I'm usually in the middle, so I'm kind of jealous right now.
No, I mean, like, honestly, like, seeing both you guys, though, it's just like, one, I'm sure you guys, if you guys haven't heard it, right? Like, as creators or people on your own path, like, sometimes you don't see the impact that you make. So I hope, like, I'm sure we're not the first, and we definitely won't be the last, but, like, you guys have most definitely made an impact, and I hope, like, we can, like, it is a good goal to set to try to catch up to you guys in the amount of change that you guys have brought.
Fuck yeah.
And are continuing to bring to the Asian community.
I'm gonna keep throwing out my sus content and fucking make people
Suss
be
your way
proud
to
of
the
it.
top.
Suss my way to the top.
No, but like honestly,
Should've
like
seen this dude at Coachella, man.
all three of you guys, like even the fact that you're doing this, like saying, you know, I've been watching you for a while, like the way, you know, you carry yourself with a lot of integrity, and like I know you show your goofy side and all that stuff, which is awesome, right? Like we're multifaceted, we're, you know, so like, you know, but everything you do is with intentionality, integrity, and character. So like, you know, props and respect for that. And, you know, Chris, we just met, so like, you know, but even just talking on the side, like, you know, you're a real stand-up guy, right? And like, I think you're going through your process and growing, and like, so your best days are ahead of you for sure. Like Benji, my dog, my brother, you know, like, you know, I've seen you grow, change, evolve so fast in such a short period of time. So like, imagine like you give yourself more grace and you give yourself more time to do that, right? Like where you could be. And as you guys grow and as this platform grows, like all the people that are following and watching and listening, like you're giving them permission to go do that for themselves, right? So And then of course, like, we all got to give our flowers and bow down to the queen here. So like, enough said. Like,
Not Bento Box girl, bro.
Put some respect.
You're never living that one down.
Oh my god.
Hang out.
hey, we're in a doghouse together, bro. So
When I said, I was like, ah,
That's the bento girl.
I was like, oh, shit.
Is there any last things that you want to say about maybe your sneakers? Any shout outs, anything specific? And then obviously we'll go to the bento queen next.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, go to 1587sneakers.com, follow us at 1587 sneakers on Instagram. We obviously would love and appreciate your support, all that. But I think lastly, most importantly is, you have to love yourself first, right? Like, you got to make sure that you're good with you and you know who you are and you know why you're doing the things you're doing. And so, forget about what other people are saying and forget about, how you're being perceived. Like, you got to be okay with yourself first. And that takes time, and it's an ever evolving process. So for me, I just want everybody to be their best version of themselves. And why is that important? That's important because we're living in a world right now that's so fractured, that's so divided, and we're tearing each other apart. And the only way we're going to dig ourselves out of this and give ourselves a fighting chance of building that world we deserve is if we actually bring our best selves to the front. And we work on that. And so you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for your brothers, besides you, right? You're doing it for your family. You're doing it for the people that came before you and coming after you. So for me, we need to get to that point. We need to support each other. We need to be there for one another. And we need to be rooting for each other, because otherwise we're never going to see the world that we deserve, and we deserve that.
Amen. Yeah, amen. Bento queen, not girl.
I just want to say, like, you guys are all young. So, and I,
Why are you laughing, bro? Like, what the? Let me get my compliment. Let me get this. Let me get my young compliment.
Yeah, you guys are all young.
Yeah, I'm young.
I did all this stuff in the last 4 years, and I'm 37. So
What?
think of what you can do, from now on, and make it matter. And that's all I have to say. And also buy my book.
Yes.
Pre-order.
Where do we go to pre-order or buy this book?
Oh, yeah, 'cause I
Amazon,
actually do want one.
Amazon, Target, Walmart. It's online right now. It
yeah.
drops July 30th. But
Oh, wow.
it's called Let's Make Some Lunch. It's for everyone. My audience is actually half younger, like 18 to 25, and then the parent crowd. But so that's why I made it for everyone. There's a
She
lot
really
of
did.
goodies.
Like,
God
himbos
knows
like me
my
can actually read
Steak
it.
and
So
eggs ass needs to just buy that shit.
Yeah.
I love cooking, so.
we're gonna make some lunch with this book.
Actually, no, we should do that. That would be an interesting podcast, or quote unquote podcast episode.
Yeah, I did a podcast recently, and I
Yeah.
cooked food.
That's why I'm
With
trying
him.
right
Yeah,
here.
we should do that.
We should
Put
do
that
it.
on this, yeah.
We should buy this book
That would
and
be so
then
funny watch Benji
watch
cook.
me cook.
Honestly, dude.
I'm cooking tonight. Can people just chill on me?
The evolution
What,
of Benji.
chicken and rice again?
No.
Just chicken adobo, yo.
Hey, he seasoned it this time.
Hey, and you never know. You never know.
Creative.
Yeah.
Creative.
Making
I think
chimichurro
you're playing
steak.
dumb.
Oh, you buying the sauce or what?
I'm making it.
Oh shit.
Tonight?
Yeah, I guess so.
We want to see photos.
Fuck.
Video.
Yeah.
Live.
All right, I got it. don't worry.
Yes.
A live video.
You gotta
Yeah.
stream it.
All right, I'll be shirtless. That's the only way. That's the only way I get views.
Dude.
Hey, you know what? I'll be watching.
Yeah, so we're good there. Then.
I'll be watching it shirtless, dude. No, we appreciate you guys so much coming on, man, for real. I think this is a perfect way to end it, honestly. Thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you
coming
for
on.
having me.
Thank you guys for buy the book, okay? Beat the rich white boys.
You gotta be shirtless. Yeah, come on, Benji.
1587, be unapologetically you.
Let the mamas see.
AKA, don't be a bitch. That's actually, I love the leave your shoes at the door.
Buy the book. Buy the shoes right now. 1587. Let's make some lunch. Do it right now. Like right now. If you don't, I'm coming for you. You got it? Right now. I just did it. I took my shirt off. You better buy it. I just embarrassed
Cut it. No, hey, that's the outro right there. Look, we're gonna cut it right there.
Very on brand. Very on brand.
Like all the other good, pearls of wisdom and all the good stuff out the window.
No,
That's
fuck all
the-
that
No,
shit.
that's it.
Like that's like classic
I just got
2024.
dumber really quick.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Short form content.
Also, one soju.
Shout out Jay Park.
Shout out J Park.
And cut.